Hello there, adventurers, and welcome to Wally DM. Today we're going to take a look at a special kind of trap called a haunt, and in this one our adventuring party is exploring an abandoned theater, and they're going through dressing rooms trying to find some objects. They stumble across this valuable mirror, and in the mirror is a horrifying visage, and that's going to trigger the haunt or the trap. Now this is an encounter that you can find, and it's a trap. It's available on DriveThruRPG. I will put a link in the description below. Now as I go through the demonstration of using this haunt in your game, I will be giving the Pathfinder 2nd edition skill checks that were in the book, but I'll also include some 5th edition type skill checks that I would use if I were running this in my game. And don't forget, if you like what I'm doing on this channel with puzzles and traps, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That is greatly appreciated. Now let's get started. So the way that I see running this trap is in an abandoned theater or something along those lines, where our characters are hired to investigate. There are rumors of hauntings and ghosts and things like that. Perhaps they need to retrieve an object that's lost in this theater and everyone is too scared to go in. Regardless, once our characters come backstage, the way that I'm going to set this trap up is I'm going to have 6 different dressing rooms, and they're all going to be very similar, but of course our theater is in a stage of decay. It's been abandoned for quite some time, so you're going to have like all kinds of different spider webs. You could even put maybe a spider encounter in here if you want to go that far, but we're going to have spider webs. We're going to have doors that are probably hanging off the hinges. We're going to have a lot of old furniture and dressing rooms and clothes and things like that that are just going to have been weathered from time. Now again, the type of trap that we are running today, this is called a haunt trap. Now this is going to be either an area or perhaps an item that is haunted by a spirit. And in today's trap in particular, we're going to pick a mirror. Now the reason why I put 6 different dressing rooms is because I'm going to have very similar items in each dressing room. So each one of these dressing rooms is going to have like maybe some old makeup containers. They're going to have clothes and shoes and stuff like that. But each one of them is also going to have a handheld mirror. And this is the room that I've decided that used to belong to a very vain but beautiful actress, and she was always looking at herself through this mirror, and that is when a witch decided to curse this actress. Perhaps it was somebody that was jealous of her abilities or something like that, and the spirit has been locked in this mirror ever since. So the mirror that we're going to find in here is going to be our haunted item. But again, to take the suspicion away from the players, I would like to have a mirror in every room. So perhaps in each of these rooms is an area where the actors and actresses would get ready, and there is an old mirror on a bunch of them. Perhaps some of them are broken, some of them might be lying face up, and some of them face down. For our trap today, we're going to have this mirror laying face down, and I'm going to, when the characters come into this one, I'm going to describe it. If they roll like a perception check that is high enough or have a high enough passive perception, we're going to make it easy, maybe a perception check of 12. They're going to be able to realize that this mirror doesn't have as much dust on it as the rest of the area that they're exploring. Now the first check to see if this is haunted is a DC 23 stealth check. Now that is Pathfinder 2, so I would probably translate that to a DC 20 perception check. And I like in the book where they say that you have to be trained in perception or in stealth as far as Pathfinder is concerned. So if a character has perception as a proficiency, then those are probably going to be the only characters that I would allow do that. But I would also probably allow maybe a religion check if a character wants to use that, because I could also see religion playing a part in our haunted item, but I will allow this roll for them, and that's only if they want to take a closer look at this mirror without just picking it up and looking at it. So let's say our characters decide not to be cautious about this mirror when they pick it up, and they pick it up and they look at it and they look inside the mirror, then that's when they're going to see this beautiful actress that is reflected in the mirror. And as they're looking at this beautiful actress, she's going to wither in front of their face, and then there's going to be this bright flash of light. Now, it's at this point that the character that is looking at the mirror is going to need to make a fortitude save of DC 20. Now, fortitude, I believe, would transfer over to 5 E as Constitution, and that is a 20 for Pathfinder 2. I'm going to make this fairly high because this is going to be a gruesome sight in this mirror, so I'm going to say an 18 Constitution. Now, if you're running this for lower level characters and you would like to put a 15 in there, I think that's fine. But the actual effect of this trap isn't really too big of a deal, so I think failing it at an 18 Constitution is going to be okay. But let me know in the comments below if you would change this. So as we are exploring this area in the back of the abandoned theater, let's say our wizard came in here, took a look at the mirror, flipped it over, looked inside of it, seen the withering image of the beautiful yet vain actress that is trapped inside, and they end up rolling less than an 18 Constitution, then they are going to suffer the effects of the trap, and that is blindness. So now our wizard is blinded, and I'm going to make that 1d4 hours of blindness. So I'll secretly roll my 4-sided die. Let's say we roll a 2, and now our wizard is going to be blinded for 2 hours. Now, just a reminder, for 5th edition, the condition blinded means a blinded creature can't see and automatically fails any ability check that requires sight. And attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage. Now it's up to you what happens. We have 2 hours of blindness on this character. Perhaps this is a time when other spirits are moving about and we have some type of combat, or maybe there's like this giant spider that I talked about earlier, or perhaps maybe there are some other bandits or things of that nature that follow the characters in and they decide to attack. So I would probably take the opportunity as a DM, since this character is going to be blinded for a couple hours, to find some type of combat and to challenge the characters. But today we're just talking about this trap or this haunt, so it's up to you what happens next. So we have a haunted mirror. Now this haunted mirror is trapped, so anytime a character looks into it, they're going to need to make an 18 Constitution, or for Pathfinder, a 20 Fortitude save, or they're going to be blinded for 1d4 hours. Now let's say this mirror is the object or the item that they have come in here to retrieve, or we could make this a gold mirror, so perhaps this is something that the characters want to take with them. And I would highly suggest making it valuable, as it adds a little bit to the trap, and for them to try to go through some of these things to try to obtain it. So let's go with the idea that our characters want to keep this mirror because it is valuable, and they want to try to mollify this spirit. Well, in the book, that would be a diplomacy 20 check for Pathfinder, and I would probably just move that 20 right on over to 5th edition as a persuasion 20. Now, it does say in the book as a trained ability, so if our characters have proficiency in diplomacy or proficiency in persuasion, those are the only ways they're going to be able to try to roll and be able to mollify this spirit. Now, another way that we could get the haunt out of the mirror is to throw it and try to smash the mirror. And in the book, it says a thievery, DC 15, and I would probably translate that to either an attack roll for 5th edition, or if we just want to use a skill, perhaps a sleight of hand, and I would probably go maybe a DC 12. We'll make it fairly easy to break. Now, it doesn't say anything in the book as far as what happens if they break the mirror, but I would like to add that if they do break the mirror and set the spirit free from it, that once it smashes on the ground, then a bright light is going to flash, and anyone that is watching, let's say everyone is in this room now, and they're watching this wizard, he's blinded already, so he's going to step off to the side, and we've got our barbarian that comes over here and is like, heck with this, I'm going to smash it without looking into it. They throw this mirror down on the ground, smash it, they roll a sleight of hand that is a 12 or higher, and that will successfully break the mirror. But when they release this haunt, there's going to be a bright flash of light, or perhaps instead of a flash of bright light, perhaps a terrifying visage is released from this mirror, and anyone that sees it when it is released needs to also make that Constitution saving throw, or they too will be blinded for 1d4 hours. So I like this ability, or adding this into there, so if they try to destroy it, the terrifying visage is going to be released, and then everybody that's watching this happen is going to make a saving throw, or anyone that looks into the mirror is going to need to make a saving throw. Again, I would highly recommend having several different mirrors in here, but we just have our one mirror that's haunted, and just as a quick recap, our characters are going to find it. If they look into this visage, they're going to need to make that Constitution or Fortitude saving throw. If they fail, they're going to be blinded. If they break the mirror or try to break the mirror, then the haunt is released, and anyone seeing this haunt being released is going to need to make that same saving throw or else be blinded as well. But in the end, we're going to say that this mirror is actually very valuable, so once all of this is over and perhaps some random encounters or combat is done, then our characters can escape through here, and they have this valuable mirror that they can sell in town and get some gold for. So I really like this haunt or this trap for the purposes that it doesn't really have a long-lasting effect. It's not going to cause any damage. It's just going to have a character be blind for a little bit. So of course I'm going to throw in that combat, but one of the fun things for a dungeon master to run this in the game is if a character is blinded, they don't know how long that's going to last. It's going to be a few minutes, a few hours, a few days. Is it permanent? So you could throw in some medicine checks or things like that if you want to be able to give a little bit of a time frame, or you can just keep it secret until that time frame expires and let them know that their vision is starting to come back. Of course, spells like Lesser Restoration is going to restore their sight immediately. Now, with regards to the mirror, I really like the idea of making it valuable, but we could also go a step further. Perhaps this is the object they need to bring back, and they don't need to release the haunt. Maybe whoever hired them to go get this mirror wants that visage in there, so if they bring it back destroyed, it's going to be less valuable to them. Or perhaps if they are able to mollify or to tame the spirit or the haunt that is inside the mirror, perhaps that individual or that actress or whoever it is that is trapped inside that mirror has some information they could use, or perhaps there's other ways they can help them. Or maybe the characters are going to go about trying to free this individual and bring him back to the living. It's up to you as the game master or the dungeon master and how you use this trap in your game, and I'd be very interested in seeing what plans you have for it, so be sure to leave a comment below. So that's all I have for you today. What did you think of the trap? Is this something that you could use in your game? And if so, what would you do differently? And don't forget to take a look at this full PDF. Pick up a copy today. I will put a link to this PDF in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and on to the next.